store, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
You know what's funny? Since the inception of this podcast, it seemed we could go months and months without talking about video games. And now, we can't go 7 days. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe. And of course, with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey, Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, Star Wars is kind of like been right up my alley the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
I get to talk about Star Wars and video games. This is wild.
This is what you call the best of both worlds, man.
Like, I don't get to do this very often. Talk about Star Wars and video games at the same time.
Right.
I mean, for some time, it was like I had to go years.
Yes. This is a true fact. Yeah.
Now we're like, what were we, 3 weeks in a row? 4 weeks in a row?
Something like that. Yeah. A lot of gaming talk.
I get we're talking about the same stuff, but even when they were developing this stuff before, we didn't talk about it this much.
Right.
They didn't give us this much news.
So what are we hearing now?
So the focus of the video game conversation this week is that Ubisoft open world game.
Okay.
More details are coming out about that. Some good, some bad.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Well, might as well start with the bad, right?
Yeah, why not?
Get that out of the way.
Right.
So, I believe, who were they talking with? I think this is on Collider or something like that.
Okay.
They're talking about don't expect the open world Star Wars project from Ubisoft until after the Avatar project.
There's an Avatar project?
That was news to me too.
Okay.
I was like, they're making an Avatar game?
Wow.
It's like, wow, that ought to be colorful.
Yeah, exactly.
Colorful, but surprisingly boring.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what to think. It's so beautiful, but man.
Right.
Story sucks.
Right. Playing the game, man, there's a lot to look at, but what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. What's this flying thing called?
Right.
They don't really put any effort to explaining anything.
Yeah. We're horrible.
That's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a lot of stuff that was really beautiful.
Sure.
But anywho.
Yeah.
So the Star Wars project is in early development. I find this very odd because it's not very typical that things like this get announced before they're like way into it. Been working on it.
Yeah.
They don't typically say, hey, we're going to do something and then start working on that.
Yes. Oh, heck. Well, when you think about it, there was a lot of projects in the past, and I know this wasn't the same developers, but I mean that they had, a good chunk of it done, and they said, "Oh, just not going to release that."
Right. I mean, so projects like this, like where they announce it and then start working on it, these are projects that, they're like StarCraft Ghost, Duke Nukem Forever.
Right.
They announce this stuff and then, 15 years later it comes out or it never comes out.
So what you're saying, this is Star Wars vaporware, potentially.
It could be. It could be because, I mean, it's not typical.
Right.
It's not typical to go, hey, we're going to make this game. And now we're going to start working on it.
Yeah.
Wait, what? What are you making here? I mean, this is how they did the sequel trilogy.
Right. Yes. It's coming out this date. Now, who's going to direct?
I mean, and then not only that, like, okay, we got episode 7 out of the way, and we still don't know what the hell we're doing.
Right. Oh man.
All right, we got 8 done. That's not the way we're going. We're doing something else.
Exactly. So I'm having flashbacks here of like 1313 kind of thing, with what you're saying. It's like,
yeah, but 1313 they were in development on before they announced it.
Right. Well, that's what I was kind of getting at.
I mean,
it's like they haven't even got that much under their belt yet.
I mean, the crazy thing about 1313 is I think they had a completed game.
You think it was done?
Yeah.
Wow.
At least, like, okay, maybe not the final, little details.
Right.
But I think 1313 was pretty much done.
Man. So here we are getting announcements about this open world game that is still basically an idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Early development.
Interesting. Early development. Yeah, that's what someone says, hey, I got an idea. All right. Stay on that. We're into early development. Yeah.
Yep, here's $10 million. Go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And apparently the idea is like, hey, I got an idea for an open open world Star Wars game. Okay, here's $10 million. Yeah. Cool. We're in early development.
Right.
I mean, there is a little insight into it. So Ubisoft is supposedly going to use the same game engine that they use for Division 2, which is what's it called? Snowfall, something like that.
Okay.
I want to double check this. Snowdrop.
Okay.
I was close.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to use that engine for this open world game. So that does kind of peel back a little bit as to what they might be looking for.
Okay.
I will say I haven't played the Division 2, but I have watched gameplay.
Okay.
I don't know how well that engine will do with something like lightsaber and force usage, things like that.
Oh. So, in your opinion, this is kind of an indication of how the game's going to play. Like,
yeah, I think this game would be a little more run and gun.
Okay.
And it would make sense based on the success of The Mandalorian.
Right.
To do something like a bounty hunter type project, something like that, something that would be run and gun, blasters, thermal detonators, things like that.
Right.
I know. I understand game engines can do more than what you see in a particular game.
Sure.
Unreal Engine has been doing unreal things for a long time.
Nice.
But based on what I've seen out of this engine, I feel like they're going to use it for its strengths. That's why they're choosing that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, maybe this was the next step of development.
What's that?
Hey, we picked the game engine.
Yeah, we got the engine.
Right.
Got the idea.
Right. Now,
so
a story.
So, what's J.J. Abrams doing?
Yeah, exactly.
These kinds of game announcements always make me nervous because it's like, hey, we're gonna do this. I don't know what we're doing yet, but we're gonna do something. We promise.
Right. Yeah.
I've seen too many games over the years that just never came to fruition.
That is
and games that got like artwork on the back of the Xbox console, right?
Right. Yes.
Like StarCraft Ghost was on the back of the Xbox console box.
Wow.
And never came out. So I worry about these things.
Sure. Yeah. I would hate to think that, they're making announcements like this just to keep Star Wars in the news, but,
I mean, 1313, we saw like 5 minutes of gameplay.
Right.
At E3 or whatever, right? Like,
yeah.
They're like, look at what we're doing. And, oh, but wait, we sold it to Disney. Everything that Disney's going to put out is going to be canon. So, yeah, screw that.
Right. Yeah. I guess when you're a company that large, you can make decisions like that. You know, we're just going to buy this part of this. You know, we're buying the whole thing, but this part of it, we're just going to
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's an easy cut, right? Like, hey, the old company is the company that spent the money on that, not us.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So we ain't got to worry about it. We didn't spend that money. They did.
Exactly.
We own them now, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it actually does come to fruition, does come out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my feeling. I just had to comment on, wow.
Yeah.
Announce it, then start working on it. Crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. I guess that means it'll be a little bit longer than we were expecting too, huh? Like down the road.
We're looking at probably 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I would expect if it comes out in 2022, it'd be late 2022.
Okay, so if we were hoping for this to be one of those things to tide us over before the next big film release, maybe not so much, huh?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Because when's Avatar come out? Is it this year?
I don't know.
The first Avatar movie? Well, the second Avatar movie? Is there any word on that?
Did those get pushed back when the Star Wars films got pushed back?
So, Avatar 2 is coming out December 16th, 2022.
Okay, so next year.
So I would anticipate any game release that's tied to that would either be right before
right
or right after.
Yep.
I know that really narrows it down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect a Avatar 2 game release in 2021 with the movie coming out December 2022.
Right.
I would say the earliest that would probably drop would be September of 2022.
Yep. Especially if there's anything in there that could spoil the movie.
Correct. So I would say September would be the earliest that you would expect that. Most likely, with the way Disney's been handling stuff, I would anticipate the game to come out December 31st, 2022.
Right.
You know, like let it breathe 2 weeks.
Yep.
And release it.
Yeah.
And then the Star Wars project would be after that. So early 2023, mid 2023, I would say.
Okay.
Because the important thing here is Disney is the driver of this. Even though Ubisoft is developing it, when it gets released is going to be determined by, Lucasfilm Games, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
So just, we're talking Avatar and how it could tie into the movie. Do you think there might be some sort of a tie-in to the Patty Jenkins movie with this game?
No.
Okay. So there goes that theory. All right.
No, I don't think that engine would be. Well, one, how would you do an open world Starship game? It sounds dumb.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess it could be cool, but there's so many ways it could be horrible.
Right.
More ways it could be horrible than good, I think. So I don't think it would be tied to Rogue Squadron. I think they're calling it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Rogue Squadron, but not actually.
Right, yeah.
It's a new one. It's a new one. It's just the name.
The next generation.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was going to let that go.
Okay.
I didn't want to go down that road.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
Yeah. Okay, well.
We just got to train up a new generation of pilots to take on the Klingon Empire.
Stop it.
Written and directed by Kevin Feige.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there.
I think I'm making a segue.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. So, is that where we're going?
That's where we're going. Let's go there.
Okay. Awesome. So Kevin Feige, he was interviewed by, I guess it was Yahoo News. And I don't know. So, okay, let me just preface this with this. I'm just putting this out there because sometimes I scratch my head and just wonder. It's like, man, you really didn't have any questions for this guy, did you? So, they asked him about whether or not there would be the possibility for there to be any crossover film between the Marvel universe and the Star Wars universe.
Why?
That's a good question. Now that was a good question. That was an excellent one-word question. I don't know either, but you know,
it's like Kevin. Can I call you Kevin?
Right.
What do you have to say to all the batshit crazy people out there that think it'd be a great idea to cross over Wolverine and Luke Skywalker?
Yes. First off, can a lightsaber cut through adamantium? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. So I don't know. Here's how that went though.
Is there a world in which Marvel and Star Wars someday could collide in the same movie? Is that in the realm of possibility?
If you'd asked me if anything we're talking about right now is in the realm of possibility 20 years ago, I would have said, I don't think so. But I really don't think so with that. I don't think there's any reason for it. I like the X-Men, Star Trek The Next Generation crossover comic with Picard and Xavier standing and looking at each other as much as the next person. I don't know that that's necessary in anything other than the comics. Patton Oswalt has a great crossover routine from Parks and Rec that I'm sure you've seen. It's probably as close as we'll ever get.
Then at the edge of the Star Destroyer's orbit, suddenly the time ribbon begins wavering, and what comes through? The X-Men's Quinjet. That's right.
Yeah, so we get Patton Oswalt at the end there with his crossover. I don't even understand where this comes from. To be honest about it, I have a hard time.
You know what I don't understand?
What's that?
I mean, this is going to go down a different road for a second.
Sure.
Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
You know, they play that guy's little tirade right there.
Yep.
This is the guy who said he'd like to beat George Lucas with a shovel over the prequels.
Correct.
Which had absolute tie-ins to everything that had to do with Star Wars universe.
Right.
But he wants to float crap like that?
I know. Yeah.
Like, can you believe the X-Men show? Like, why?
Right.
First off, the X-Men are set in modern times.
Yep.
Modern times. So you have all this issue with continuity and George Lucas, but we're going to take modern times right here with the Marvel Universe and X-Men, and then we're going to somehow send them a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. They're just going to what? They're just going to go through some like time rift or crap like that?
Yes.
Like, what kind of flimsy story are you trying to pitch there and then bitch about George Lucas and his, you know, stuff that completely fits the continuity? What, just because you didn't like Jar Jar Binks? Like,
yeah, that was the problem. Apparently, I don't know. You just said it though. All that kind of stuff, a time rift, whatever, all that stuff works for Marvel. Okay, fine. Do all that with that. That stuff, doing it that way doesn't belong in Star Wars. You know, that's my thoughts. I don't know, man. It seems like there are some people that are trying to homogenize Star Wars into being just like everything else. And it never has been. In my mind, it has always been a step above, you know.
but okay, so I understand the crossover idea, right? Because in comic books, you can do it. There's no impact. It's fun. You can play with things. It's comic books.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? But to make it work in a film, just it would lack flow.
Even okay, even Star Wars and Marvel in comic books doesn't make sense to me. I just don't see it. I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, I'm
Even-
about to say something completely crazy.
oh,
Okay?
I like crazy.
I would rather see a Star Trek Star Wars crossover.
Oh,
Hold on. Hear me out. Because Star Trek has story, Star Wars has story. You could do some kind of riff thing in Star Trek and it'd be believable.
yeah. I see what you
And-
mean.
And they could end up in the Star Wars universe. You know, it's all spacey. It's all,
Right.
know, things would gel and it would fit. And you could make it, and I say believable very loosely because this is all fantasy. This is all,
Right.
you know, sci-fi, fantasy, and, you know, imagination.
Yes.
But you can't do it with Marvel. One, you got the flimsy ass Marvel storylines that just really are, like I said, flimsy.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't fit tonally. It doesn't fit stylistically. At least with Star Trek, stylistically, it would kind of gel.
Yeah.
Kinda.
I mean, the best thing you could do with Marvel would be like in a Star Wars movie, had a raccoon walking around talking. And that'd be about it. I mean,
You could use the Guardians.
yes, that's it. I mean,
And that is literally it.
right.
I mean, I don't want to see Captain America on the Falcon.
No.
That's
God,
just dumb.
dude. Yes, it is
Captain
dumb.
America hung out with Falcon, not on the Falcon.
Exactly. Oh, I just don't. I just don't understand where people are coming from with this kind of questioning. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, I don't know. At least Kevin Feige answered correctly. He's
Right,
like,
yep.
no.
I think so. Crossovers to me, they have to fit, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't mind seeing a crossover where, you know, Iron Man was fighting Batman.
Right. Well, yeah. They both reside on Earth, right?
They
First and
it's-
foremost.
It's not even just that. It's just they fit each other in a certain way.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's stylistically similarities between those two characters. You know,
Yep.
rich guy created it. Like,
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah.
there's these threads that fit. You know, but I wouldn't want to see Iron Man fighting Superman because Superman would beat the hell out of him.
Yes,
No problem.
it's true. Yeah.
So there's just crossovers for crossovers' sake is just not a good idea.
And I have to say, there's little to nothing that I could ever imagine crossing over into the Star Wars universe. It just, that doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? It's a totally different animal. Star Wars, it's space fantasy. You know, there's no, you know, there's all the
There's literally only one character I could see making that jump in the Marvel universe,
yeah,
and that would be Doctor Strange.
right. But even still,
I mean, even still, I'm with you. Even still, it'd be weird.
it would be weird, right?
I mean, just from a stylistic standpoint, it just wouldn't. It would just look so awkward and weird.
Yeah. And I feel like if you had to go down that road, it would actually be, you know, weak storytelling because, you know, you should be able to tell stories in both of
It's
these.
the Marvel way.
You should be able to tell stories in both of these universes independently of each other, and make some good stories. You know, I don't know. I just don't know where this comes from, and I have a hard time hearing it. and you
I know where this comes from, man.
Where?
All style, no substance.
Oh man, screw Michael Bay. All right. Yes.
So yeah, I'm. Hey, this is the first time since they said Kevin Feige and Star Wars in the same sentence where I was like, yeah, I agree with him.
Right. Hey, at least for any of us that were worried that he might be he's going to Marvel up our Star Wars.
Yeah, that's exactly my fear, right?
Well, at least he said no. At least that, as far as
it's a
that
different
goes.
thing, right?
Right. It's a different thing.
And that's what he said here. It's I don't see it. It's a different thing. It's in comic books, fine. And I agree with that. Comic books should not have boundaries, right? They're comic books.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
dude, they're meant to be wacky.
Okay, sure, but I mean, still, don't cross over Star Wars with something else, even if it's in comics. I
disagree with you there.
Okay, we can disagree.
Because, well, here's the thing, though. In comic books, how many people read them, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, comic books are very selective, even from series to series. You read what you want to read.
Sure.
You know, if it doesn't catch your interest, you don't get that series. You don't care.
Right.
Movie, like Star Wars in cinema is different.
But if the comics are all canon.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Everything's canon now, right?
Right. So
if you do this, you're committing.
Exactly. That's where I'm coming from.
I know you just derailed what I was going with.
Sorry. But hey, that's the thing.
So now that you point that out, I guess you can't even do it in comics because even the comics are canon now. This is what they said. This is the law.
Right.
Period. The mouse has spoken.
Yes.
This is the way.
Damn. I'm just imagining Mickey Mouse saying this is the way. I'm not even going to try and imitate that. Oh, yes.
Did it sound like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, Marvel and Star Wars together.
Right.
And they're not even saying Marvel, like the comic book Marvel, right? They say specifically in all this stuff that I've read, the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Star Wars. This is where my flimsiness comes in. When I say flimsy, I'm talking about the cinematic universe.
Right.
Marvel has some good stuff along the way.
Sure.
They lost their way with the movies. I mean, Iron Man 1 was good, but then they lost me.
Yeah.
Avengers 1 was good, but then they lost me.
Okay. Now I know what happened to Luke on Octu. After his battle with Captain Marvel. Oh, that's exactly the reaction I was looking for. That's it.
Man.
Okay, I think we've demonstrated how absurd this is.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh, I'm avoiding saying anything.
Okay. Gotcha.
After his battle with Captain Marvel.
Well, hey, I mean, it's really simple now. She put the smackdown on him, and he felt defeated and had to hide out on the island. So, and there we have it. So, okay. I think bottom line is we think this is probably not a good idea.
No, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
I'm glad we can agree on that.
Except for maybe Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, okay. If he was walking by in the background, okay, it probably wouldn't piss me off, but beyond that, no. That's it.
I mean, how can you get mad at Rocket? I mean, just look at him.
Sure, yeah. I'm talking like no dialogue, though. That's...
I don't know. His dialogue's pretty good.
Yeah, in his movie. not in Star Wars.
You notice how they always talk about it like this, though? Like, could you see a Marvel crossover in the Star Wars universe? They never say, could you see a Star Wars crossover in the Marvel universe? Like, why is this a thing?
Right.
Like, why is Marvel, like, you can't jump into that. But you can jump into Star Wars.
Right. Well,
really?
Hey, you know where we did see this, actually? We actually did see this sort of thing in a Lego movie. So, you know.
Oh. Insert eye roll.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, that was Batman on the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
Lego movie canon. There we go. Perfect.
Was that pre-Disney or post-Disney?
I don't even know. But I guess what I'm saying is this is the level kind of question that this is. I mean, that didn't make a lot of sense. This is the, yeah.
Okay, so we're in agreement.
Yeah.
You can do it in Lego and no one will give a shit.
Right. Yes. Beyond that, just don't.
Yeah, just don't. Oh, wow. All right. Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes. Mads Mikkelsen. He happened to be on the on Happy, Sad, Confused. And it's funny, he you know, there's ever since Rogue One came out, you know, there's all this talk about things that you know went wrong with shooting and, you know, this and that, and you know, we had to bring in what's his name, Gilroy, right? Yep. And all that kind of stuff, and it was a big mess, and the movie comes out and it was awesome, you know.
Yeah.
But Mads has a different way of kind of looking at how all that went down, I guess. So
that's one way of saying it.
Yeah, here's what he had to say.
Some of it was just straightforward working, and then there was some of it that was a little chaotic. There was no secret that there was some rewriting in the script while we were doing it.
Right.
And when you do that while you're doing it, it is obviously very tricky for the actors to know, what am I carrying into this room now? You know, I opened the door, I'm not sure exactly what happened before. So there was some of that. Having said that, it always felt like a solid story. A young girl lost, doesn't know where she belongs in the world. Then an Oppenheimer story unfolds. She's always heard that he was this, and then she realizes he was that. You know, and it was quite beautiful written. So at the end of the day, the changes that was in the film was not as dramatic as people talk about. It was little tweaks but obviously when you do it while we're working, it's always a little confusing.
So, yeah,
so do you do it after working or?
What's that?
I mean, like, you know, if you do it while you're working, you know, yeah, it can be confusing. What, right. You do it when you're done?
Make the changes?
Of course the changes were while you were working on it. Like,
yeah,
they weren't when you were finished.
Right. So
okay.
He does say in there, some of it could have, you know, was a little chaotic, but, you know, overall it wasn't bad, but the story was always good, you know. All that makes sense, you know.
Well, I feel like he's probably right. I mean, it was probably good the other way too.
Sure.
I mean, I think it was about the flow into the next act, right? Which was going to be episode 4.
Right.
I think it was that flow that they were looking to alter.
I gotcha.
So, yes, the overall arc, yeah, probably not a drastic change in the overall arc.
Right.
The start was the same. The finish was the same.
Right.
The pieces in the middle did change. But to say they're not as dramatic as people talk about, I mean, did you watch the trailer, bro?
Yeah.
I mean, there are literally 0 seconds from the trailer in the movie.
I wouldn't say 0, but
okay, there are literally 2.5 seconds.
There's a lot of stuff we saw in the trailer that we did not see in the film. That's a fact.
Yeah, it was dramatic. And
yes.
Not just trailer 1, but subsequent trailers. Like, this was not like a one-off thing.
Right.
There were several scenes from different trailers and different scenes, right? That just didn't make it into the final film.
Sure.
So you got to think, people weren't on set. We didn't hear what you heard. We saw what we saw. And
True.
From what we saw in the trailers and things like that to the final product, yeah, it was pretty damn dramatic.
Yeah. Well,
but it's not dramatic in the sense that it affected it in what we could say is a negative way.
No, I would say that's for sure. I mean, we are clearly talking about what many, myself included, believe is the best post-Disney Star Wars film.
Oh, by far.
So, you know.
By far. Rogue One is a fantastic film.
Right. So with whatever happened on set, you know, however chaotic it was, the final product ended up being fabulous. So, you know.
And that's what's saying that. So Rogue One, when you saw it in theaters the first time, was rather jarring because you didn't get an opening crawl. You didn't
right.
get the Star Wars theme. You didn't get all these things that are associated with Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
For the first time ever, you didn't get these things, and it was jarring.
Right.
But yet, when you walked out of there, you're like, wow, that was so Star Wars.
For sure. Yes.
And I think that was the only time in the Disney era, in the Disney era, that I walked out going, wow, that was Star Wars.
I'd have a hard time saying that, but
really,
yeah.
I mean, so maybe The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens, I still felt good about it.
I mean,
yeah, because I still felt like, okay, that's a good starting point, you know. But
I mean, I'm letting hindsight affect that a little bit.
Right.
In hindsight, I don't think that was a good starting point.
Right. Well, I felt like it was when I.
Oh yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, ground yourself in the familiar, carry those same tones. You know.
Exactly.
Yes. You know, you got the same flow as you're used to. Quite literally. I mean, the flow is almost identical.
Right. Yeah. Beat for beat. Right. Is that what everyone says? To A New Hope.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. I mean, with the progression of the film, yeah. It's not the same story. As much as people want to say it's the same story as A New Hope, it's not.
Right.
It's different.
Yeah.
But tonally, flow-wise, you know, yes. Same film.
But
structure's the same. But they were kicking off a new era.
Right.
And they played it safe, grounded it in the familiar.
Yep.
Even though it's got, I still say this. I mean, it's got one of my favorite moments in Star Wars I'll give The Force Awakens that.
Yeah.
The first time we heard March of the Resistance with those
yes.
X-Wings screaming over the water.
Yes.
Dude. It was amazing.
Yeah. It's hard to deny that, because that right there. Yeah. The part, I hate to even say this because it can be taken the wrong way, and I hope it's not, but you demonstrate to us how Poe Dameron is one hell of a pilot. But then you got to have John Boyega scream it. It's like, yeah, duh, yeah. We're seeing how good of a pilot he is right there, right? I mean,
well, that's kind of his role in the sequel trilogy, right?
That's true.
He's the hype man. He's just got to scream someone else's name.
Poor guy, because he could have done so much more.
Oh, so much more.
Yeah.
So much more. I mean, I saw that dude with a lightsaber and a trailer. And
yes.
All the promotional material.
Yeah.
And then they just crapped on him.
Yep. Agreed.
I can understand why he's so pissed off.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, everybody remembers seeing a reaction video with him with the first trailer, right? I mean, when he saw himself on screen igniting that lightsaber and his reaction.
Right.
I mean, that dude was pumped up.
Heck yeah. Well, I always say, I have been always saying, right? Force Awakens, good launch point, good starting point, launch pad. He was probably thinking the same thing, right? I mean, he had a little bit of lightsaber action, but then that ended up going nowhere, so. Yeah,
and I mean, in hindsight, too, I mean, even in The Force Awakens, they hinted at his Force ability.
Yep.
He was feeling something different from everybody else. Yeah. And then Rian Johnson decided to reset his character arc. He's a coward again. He's got to gain his confidence. I mean, did you not watch the last movie? I mean, JJ just did that.
Right. Exactly.
Nope. Reset.
Yeah.
He's got to grow a second time.
Yes. Yeah, he was basically starting over. Yeah, with that whole arc. Yeah. Anyway. And
then of course, I know you said anyway, but
yeah,
I gotta finish this last point.
Sure.
And of course, JJ thought the best way to continue that from what was done before is he has to shout Rey 45 times in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Because, I mean, what else did he have to build on, right? So that's the problem. I mean, part of the problem.
Maybe he was just making fun of the first line in The Last Jedi, right? Like, where's Rey?
Right.
He's like, oh yeah, that's all he's worried about? I'm going to make him shout Rey the whole movie.
You never know.
And John Boyega is just like, seriously, dude?
Yeah. Hey.
All right.
Yeah. Back to Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. From his standpoint, and I would say for sure from his character standpoint, I don't think his character changed much throughout that.
Right.
He probably saw minor tweaks along the way.
Yeah.
It's really the battle on Scarif that saw the most of the change.
Yeah, that's a lot of what we saw that was different. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then I think there was the addition of Darth Vader later on, right? And all of which.
Addition.
What's that?
What a good addition that was.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when all was said and done, I think the moves that they made were the right moves to make because the movie's excellent. So,
yeah, fantastic movie.
So, they also asked him about, we have this prequel of Cassian, the series, Andor.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked him if possibility we might be able to see Galen Erso in this.
Well, that's a tricky thing with the prequels, right? If you tend to wait long enough, and then next go back and visit the character, then you have to look not only younger than the previous film, but much younger than you are today. So, good luck with that. A lot of hair dyeing going on there.
Okay.
A lot of hair dye. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the de-aging technology they've been using lately, but they could make it happen.
I agree, but like if I were him on this one, I just have to ask the interviewer, like, did you watch Rogue One?
Right.
Like, me and Cassian, yeah, we never met.
Exactly. And
we never met. And the first time we met, dude tried to kill me.
Right. And really, I'm glad you brought that up because, here we are again, with these questions. It's like, I don't want to knock this guy as much as the other guy, but it's like, yes, this character from the movie you were in is getting the show, but I think this is going to focus more on Cassian and what made Cassian, right? So it's how he got to where he was in Rogue One, not, let's keep crossing these guys over. Let's cross their paths back and forth. And, I don't think it's going to be all that.
Well, we had to make it to where, Cassian really wanted to kill him, right? So we have to explain, his conversation with Tony Stark. He needed that last little bit, how to make the Death Star work.
Oh, stop. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think this point has been made. Yeah. There is no room for Galen or so in Cassian.
I don't think there's any way. Like,
yeah.
He asked Jin, "Where's your father?" Okay, yeah. I mean, what did he see him 5 years before? Like,
right.
Like, if he was like in contact, why don't you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So, I don't think there's. Yeah.
Like, damn, you suck as a spy.
Right.
Like, you just lost him.
Yeah. Well, I think this is just, all of us fans are grasping at something for news. So
I agree. But it's fun to poke.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Last up.
Yeah.
Daisy Ridley.
Yeah. So, Daisy Ridley was interviewed by Soraya Wilson recently. I don't even think the interview's out yet, but Soraya Wilson did tweet. And this is her tweet quote. It's a quote of her tweet here. So she says, Reylo fans, Daisy says the only two possible The Rise of Skywalker endings was kiss or no kiss. She said Ben dying was the only thing that never changed from the beginning and that there was no dialogue in the kiss scene other than Ben and her saying no, 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 no when he died. So, apparently, Ben and Rey having a happily ever after ending was never on the table. That's the point I'm taking from this. So,
I mean, it's not really the Star Wars way, is it?
No, it's not.
I mean, yeah, Anakin and Padme never got there, so
right. I don't know. I think the closest thing we've ever had to something like that would be the end of Return of the Jedi. And we kind of get hit with the reality that wasn't all it was cracked up to be either.
Right. Well, I can't say I'm surprised at this because I always thought that the whole Kylo Ren arc was going to be the inverse, right? He wasn't a Jedi struggling with the dark.
Right.
He was a Darksider struggling with the light. I felt like oh wow, they're going to do the inverse here. He's going to struggle with the light. He's going to overcome that. He's going to become the big bad.
Yeah.
And in the end, he's got to die because, you got to kill the bad guy.
Right. See, now I like that. I mean, I don't know that you might have said it before, but I've never really thought about it like I am right now, and how that's actually interesting.
Yeah, he was going to mirror image Anakin, right? Anakin
Right.
was struggling with the dark. He was fighting off the dark.
Yes.
And then you get to Kylo Ren. He's dark. He's fighting off the light.
Right.
And then it ends.
Yeah.
Conclusion of the Skywalker saga. This is a dysfunctional family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing.
I really thought, Ryan Johnson did things that advanced that, but he did things that set that whole storyline back.
I would agree with that.
That connection with Rey, that set it back. That set people on we got to redeem Ben.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second he went humanizing him overly humanizing him,
right,
putting this conflict in him that was now attached to a person instead of his internal struggle, that set it into motion that, okay, now you have to do a redemption arc. The middle chapter set it to that redemption arc, as opposed to, he's going to be the big bad, even though he did other parts that set him up as the big bad, right? He took out Snoke. He told Rey, join me. The dark side's the way,
right.
We'll destroy the Jedi and the Sith. He went full on. And then 5 minutes later, he's crying because the Falcon door shut.
Right. Yeah. I gotta say, I like your analysis, Joe. Yeah, I don't know. I just this whole Ben and Rey, getting together thing. This was I always had a hard time with this because you said that's not how it works out in Star Wars. It's yeah, you're right. It's not how it works in Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see a need for it. For
right.
a romantic relationship between these two characters. Why do every male and female character that come in contact in all stories ever have to have a romantic thing?
Yeah.
Come on. Why couldn't they just be adversaries and that'd be the end of it?
Exactly.
I didn't see a need for a romantic arc there. It just seemed unnecessary. You could have done a romantic arc somewhere along the line to get your fix. You got to do it, right? You got to have, love and strife and all this to make it complete, right?
Sure.
You could have had your love arc somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. I think
instead of setting the way forward for 10 different love arcs in the middle chapter and then just letting the last guy pick one and roll with it.
Right.
And then people getting mad that he didn't pick the one you wanted.
Yeah, well, that's yeah. There's a lot, yeah. Oh my god. The more and more I think about that, the more and more it just grinds on me. Everything that you're talking about right now, stuff that was just left us hanging, and that we should have never been put out on that limb to begin with, really. So,
yeah, I mean, that's, for all the defenses I've given The Last Jedi, and you can go back and find that.
Yeah.
Now's not the time to defend. Now's the time to attack.
Ooh.
There were just so many open-ended threads.
Yes.
And it did more creating of those than then sending them on the path to completion, which that's what the middle chapter should be doing. It should be setting things on the path to completion, not creating a bunch of new threads to try and connect later on.
Right.
And that's what The Last Jedi did. It created so many new questions. Yeah, okay, you can make an argument that it set this in motion, but you can make an argument against it setting that in motion. That's the problem.
Right.
Right? Like, you can say, oh, they set up Kylo Ren to be the big bad. It's like, yeah, he did, but at the same time, he set him up for redemption because he loves Rey.
Right.
Like, there's a duality in every single thing he did.
Yeah.
And you can argue it based on how you want to view it, but you can also argue it from the other point of view. Yeah. There was just no setting the path forward there, in my opinion.
Right.
And when the first chapter decides not to set a path forward, and the second chapter does the same thing and decides not to set a path forward, you can't be surprised when the third one is just a cluster.
Right. Yes. Everything moves so fast from start to finish that your head's left spinning. It's like, whoa, what just happened with all this? Yeah.
Yeah. When the first guy decides, hey, I'm going to start all these stories, and the second guy says, yeah, but I want to start all these stories. And then, you bring the first guy back and he's like, oh, crap.
Exactly. Yeah. Now I got to
I wanted to tell this.
Right.
So I'm going to tell that.
Uh-huh.
Now everybody's going to think I hate that guy because I did this.
Right. Well, hey.
Literally, an email. They could have sent an email.
Yeah.
I mean, they were writing at the same time. They could have just talked a little bit.
A little bit. That'd have been nice. Yeah. Yeah. You know what should have happened, really, honestly? Somebody should have sat them down in the same room and said, hey, outlines. Make sure your outlines are going to mesh here. That would have probably been a good idea. What do I know? I'm just a podcaster, right?
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, honestly, I don't think they saw anything Rian Johnson did until it was in theaters.
Yes. It's probably true.
I mean, they were like,
hey,
The Force Awakens is out, right? Like, it was released. And then, like, a week later, they're like, Rian Johnson's done. It's like, what?
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's what we keep hearing about that film, that set, is like, shooting went so well. It was like, they were all like one take Jake, and that was it. It was like, no, there's probably some truth to that, Joe.
They're like, we love what he's doing. We ain't seen it yet, but it sounds great.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Like I said, I can't point the finger at any one director or any one writer or anything like that. But there was obviously not a single email.
Right.
Saying, hey, I'm doing this. Okay, cool. I'm going to do this then. Yeah.
Right.
They didn't talk.
Right. That would have certainly been helpful, because it wouldn't have left large portions of the fan base to imagine certain scenarios going down that really had no hope of going down, which is what we end up with. Yeah. So.
Yep. And then you end up with the clash.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. If you have anything to add to the conversation, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media, @thewarsandmore on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
Nope. I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.